One of the best way to get free points in badminton is to learn how to counterattack. And if you're not doing it, then you better start now. In this video, we're gonna break down the secret to counterattacking in doubles with Olympian Toby Ng. A lot of people have the perception that you win points by attacking. But why is counterattacking like really how you can get a lot of good points?
Usually counterattacking is catching your opponent off guard, because when they expect a certain thing and then you have made the right prediction, then you can use a counterattacking tactic and then catch them off guard.
Right.
Best thing is you get a free point. Worst case, they maybe hit a bad return and then you can follow it up.
Right. What's the step number one to having a good counterattack?
In this kind of counterattack we're describing is when someone is attacking, maybe even from the front, and you're trying to hit something that will push them back so they can no longer hit with the same attack intensity. So the best thing you can do is try to hit shots that I can't really get as much angle on, meaning that you can slowly move forward because you have to hit it over the net. The second the shuttle dips below the net, like you're actually pretty safe. Your opponent can't hit it down anymore. Okay. You can slowly start to creep forward now and then try and challenge. Now you become the attacker, they become the defender.
How do we do the footwork?
So there is a transition process, right? So you hit a shot and you're gonna wait here. Is it good enough, right? Then you can kind of slowly come forward. So it actually becomes a bit like fencing. You're not sure, not sure, right? This is actually the chassé step. So the chassé step, right, from here. So from here in this position, right, we want to be able to push off the back foot and then do a shuffle step forward. Right. Let's show you so you have an idea. Okay. So I'm on defense, hitting things. This one I'm trying to counter. If it's good, then I'm going to come forward. Is it still good? And wait. And then now I'm at the front, then I play front. So think of it as this way, moving forward this way. And then until you're this way.
I really like this. So this is like our stable positions that we want to stay in. And then whenever we're moving on the court, I guess this applies to all of badminton. Well, more in doubles, the fencing thing. Yes. We're fencing and seeing. And then once we get to a position, then we go back to stable.
Right. One way to practice this when I was training was we would just start at the back of the court and we'd push off the back foot. And when we come forward, we're going to swing. Okay. And then we're going to shuffle back slightly because this is important in case you have to abort and go back.
Yes.
Then you're going to shuffle back slightly and then switch and cover forehand. So your racket should always be in front of you. Then we're going to push again here and then shuffle back. And then again, forward and back. And then forward and back. So again, we're reinforcing hitting and stepping, and then we're enforcing a push and then also racket ready.
And that's just how you practice it, right?
Yeah.
Just forward and back.
Always keep in mind that you might want to counterattack, but if it's not good enough, the next shot will come at you. So you have to be ready for the next one.
Okay, this makes sense. I'm not too sure if I'm going to be able to apply it.
Yeah, we'll go through a couple more things and then we'll put it all together and then you'll see how it kind of applies in practice.
Okay. Step number 2 now is what?
How do you achieve greater distance with the same amount of steps?
Why do we need a greater distance? Because we're moving from the back all the way to the front?
Yeah, sometimes you might need to go a little bit farther, right? So if I shuffle from here, right, I might be kind of limited, right? Okay. So this is more just like if you need to go farther, you can cross behind. This would be a crossover step. So sometimes I'm here and then like they play like a block, right? Then I can come in here, right? But if I do this and they try a net shot, then I might need to come in farther. So this is actually useful for other things as well. Okay. Right? But for our purposes, sometimes we do need that extra step to, extra distance, and you can achieve it by crossing behind.
So how do we tie this into our earlier fencing analogy? So we have our stable, our fencing, and then what is this step up? Is this still part of fencing, or is this some sort of...
It is, but it would be more of like a finish or like the final bit to get to the end.
It's a commit, because you can't come back from that, right?
Yeah, so let's say you're trying to go all the way there, and then you would probably transition to front court.
Okay, so when you do that, you're pretty confident that you're moving up.
Yeah, so it would probably depend on how good your block was, and then like watching your opponent.
It's like a alt.
It is, alternative movement.
Real quick, we're building 100 free educational YouTube channels to provide accessible learning to everybody. If you found this video helpful, please consider joining our YouTube membership so we can continue to make quality content for you guys for free. Now back to the video. All right, so our first 2 steps really covered how we're supposed to move when we counterattack.
Yeah.
So what is our step number 3 now?
So step 3 is basically a bunch of technical tips that we're gonna combine into one step, but it will help you hopefully answer any of the questions that you might have right now.
Okay, sure. So what are some of these tips?
So the first thing is you need to be in a lower stance. So the best cue for this is to have your eyes below the net cord. So if you're hitting any kind of shot, you should be able to see below the net.
Is this like relative to your height? So if you're super tall, then you just get lower below the net?
Correct. So if you're already short, then that's technically your advantage.
So if you're already below the net, then you don't need to squat.
Then you're already below net, you're fine.
Okay, sure. Okay. What's the importance of getting below the net?
So on really flat shots, right, the taller you are, and then the difference between the distance between your eyes and the racket and the tape, your brain has to kind of triangulate that kind of movement, right? Or the distance, right? So, but if you line up everything in the one spot, you're probably going to hit it pretty flat.
So it helps with coordination, speed of coordination.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're just reducing the amount of calculations you have to do in your brain to hit this shot.
Exactly, you're gonna hit a lot easier if it's coming here. Also because your body will be like, don't get hit in the face, right? So you'll have your racket up as well.
Makes sense.
The next thing we wanna do is racket position, which is kind of the same thing, right? So I don't wanna be below the net and have my racket down, right? Because I wanna be too relaxed. But for here, I hit a good shot, I want it to be kind of to cover whatever my opponent's best shot is.
Right.
We can actually demo this. Let's demo this.
Yeah. I don't know why I'm not doing this. Man, I suck. If I kept it in my line of sight, it's so easy to keep flat. This makes a lot of sense. I mean, just the foundations of being in the line of where you want to hit makes a lot of sense. Okay, so my counterattack I think is already starting to look pretty good. The footwork I did apply a little bit as well, the fencing. What is our step number 4?
If the shuttle is above the net, then you have a lot more option because you can hit down, right?
Yes.
Where it kind of becomes that gray area is if it's slightly below the net. A lot of times people try and hit too hard, maybe trying to hit it through the front person. But the problem is if it goes through them, the shuttle is going to continue into that trajectory. So especially when it dips below the net, a lot of mistakes people make is that they try and hit too hard and the shuttle is going to rise, make it quite easy for your opponent. If they're too close, then that might work, but it also depends on the front person, right? So if they're smart, they just technically use your defense power against you, and then it'll have quite a difficult time. Do you want to try it? Ready? All right.
Okay, that's so hard. First of all, I have to generate so much power. When it's this slow and I'm generating power, I'm losing my balance. And also all my shots are going so high.
Yeah, and then so for me, I actually didn't have to hit very hard, right? I just had to like redirect it, right? So against a smarter front court player, they just kind of like have their racket up and then they kind of trap you, right? So that's actually why we wanted to learn this, is that at some point you want to play that softer shot where now I have to kind of, I'm a bit uncomfortable. So the angle that I get as offense is going to be less over time. And then for you, you're going to be able to get it like from higher and higher, and then you might have that chance to transition.
Okay, so hitting down is more important than hitting hard. What's the higher priority? But when do we hit hard?
If it's above the net, then it's probably fine to hit.
So the goal is to always get the angle and counterattack through our blocks. But if we don't have time, then we can hit a safety drive to try to find the opportunity.
Yeah, again, like you can drive, it's just knowing the consequences of it.
Yes, don't keep driving for the sake of driving.
Yes.
Okay, all right. Step 5 and our last step now is to put it all together with a drill.
So this drill is actually a good exercise where one person starts at the front and then the defense starts on defense, obviously. So we're waiting on the defender to find a good shot to hit. So he's trying to wait until the front court person looks like they can't kill it. So again, if they hit something a bit flat and it looks like the front court person is unable to do anything, that's the chance where they can transition and then try and keep pressuring and push the front court person back to defense.
Okay, all right, let's try this drill.
Now you're at front.
Oh,
Right.
And then,
So that
do we keep switching?
Yeah. So if I hit that one, you can't stuck, and that's when I come.
Okay, so I'll start again. Ooh. Wait, so for that one, well, right now, when we're practicing this drill, obviously, while I was doing it, I accidentally hit up again. Should I come back to defense, or do we just keep switching?
It depends on what I do, right? I kind of just gave you the chance to come forward, which is fine. But that's also why you did the transition, but you should actually just take it early, get the angle right.
Okay.
So if you try to hit that one too hard and you lose the angle, then that's kind of a technical mistake.
Okay, let's try one more time.
Oh, good.
Okay.
So this is a very good drill, but it actually is quite advanced. If you can go back and forth like 2 or 3 times with one shuttle, you're probably in a pretty good place, but it will take a bit of time to get there.
Yeah, because as I'm doing this drill, over time, once I lose a little bit of focus and the timing's off, I start to just hit up or be out of position or want to hit hard. So just keeping that entire rhythm the whole time is very difficult.
Yeah.
If you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to like, comment, subscribe. Check out Toby in the description down below and watch our next video over here.